Before we dive into this incredible HFY sci-fi story, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Your support helps bring more epic tales of humanity's courage against the stars. And don't forget, share this video with a friend who loves sci-fi as much as you do. The sky of Zapix burned in shades of toxic orange, reflections of explosions that had echoed for 7 endless years. Joe Smith adjusted the controls of his battered repair ship, peering through the fogged visor at the ruined world that had once been an alien paradise. Smoking craters scarred the crystalline plains, and the planet's signature mercury lakes now boiled, poisoned by wreckage of endless battles. Damn xerithium, Joe muttered. The metal that had turned Zapix into the center of a galactic war. Xerithium wasn't just valuable, it was revolutionary. A single nugget could power a space station for decades. That's why mining cartels, interplanetary corporations, and even the Terran Federation fought over every inch of the dying world. Joe wasn't a hero. He wasn't a villain. He was just a ship mechanic hired by the Helix Corporation to keep the cargo freighters running as they stripped Zapix of its lifeblood. At 45, his calloused hands knew every bolt of a ship, but his heart carried the weight of watching entire worlds die. Then, the emergency sirens snapped him out of his thoughts. One of the freighters had gone dark only 3 kilometers away, down in a valley supposedly cleared of hostiles, the cold term used for Zapix's native people. Joe guided his repair ship through drifting debris. Something was wrong. The freighter wasn't just damaged, it was abandoned. Burn marks scarred its hull, but there were no fresh signs of battle. Stranger still, his scanners picked up life forms nearby. He landed in a clearing among the ruins of an old Zapixian city. Once the structures had been elegant, organic, as if grown from crystal rock. Now they were shattered relics, and then he heard the moan. Cautiously, lantern in hand, Joe followed the sound into the ruins of what looked like a home. The beam of light revealed a sight that made him swallow hard. A Zapixian female lay on the ground, her opalescent skin stained with dark blue blood. Tall, graceful, humanoid in shape, with elongated limbs and a slightly larger head. Behind her, 2 small Zapixians cowered, their wide silver eyes locked on Joe with pure terror. The mother hissed in her melodic tongue, struggling to rise, shielding her children. One of the little ones clutched something glowing faintly, a shard of pure xerithium. The scene hit Joe like a punch to the gut. These weren't hostiles. They weren't resources. They were a family. A wounded mother trying to protect her children from yet another human invader. Slowly, Joe lowered his lantern and sidearm, raising his empty hands. I'm not here to hurt you, he whispered, knowing they couldn't understand, but praying his tone would. The mother glared, suspicious, as Joe knelt and opened his medical kit. Zapixians shared enough physiology with humans for basic first aid to help, knowledge Joe hadn't learned from science, but from seeing too many of their corpses. He moved slowly, carefully, dressing her wounds. She resisted at first, but pain and exhaustion broke through. The children trembled, ready to run at the slightest threat. As Joe worked, he noticed carvings on the crystal walls. They weren't random art. They told a story. Zapixians living in harmony with their world, growing crystals, creating music with the winds through their spires. An entire civilization reduced to rubble by greed. Then, in halting English, the mother asked, "Why? Why you help?" Joe froze. He hadn't expected her to speak his language. He searched for words. How could he explain? How could he justify years of silent complicity in her people's suffering? "Because this is wrong," he finally said. "All of it. What we've done to your world, to your people. It's wrong." Her silver eyes filled with something he couldn't name. Hope? Relief? Or just surprise that a human could feel guilt? "My name, Zaraka," she whispered. "These, Pip and Nix, my young." The children edged closer, curiosity beating fear. "No, did they care?" "Zaraka," he said slowly. "I know a place. An abandoned research station far from here." "You'd be safe there. Why? You do this?" she asked, taking his rough hand with her long, delicate fingers. Joe looked at Pip and Nix. In their frightened eyes, he saw the same fear he'd seen in human children caught in war zones. In Zara, the same fierce love of a mother protecting her family. For the first time, he saw not aliens, not resources, but people. Because, he said, his voice steadier than he expected, maybe it's time humans remembered what it means to be human. 3 days later, Joe filed his final report to Helix Corporation. A mechanical failure had destroyed his repair ship. Emergency evacuation was required. No Zapixian survivors found. In reality, his ship, refitted as a civilian transport, slipped silently out of the system. Aboard it, Zara and her children slept for the first time in months without fear. In the cargo hold, the shard of xerithium glowed softly, no longer a commodity, but a symbol of hope. Joe Smith had learned something powerful. Sometimes being human isn't about strength or conquest. It's about choosing what's right, even when it isn't easy, and in a cold, greedy universe. Maybe that was the most revolutionary act of all.